Okay, lesson 67 part B, and I've just got a little bit on here, globalisation winners and losers. Now, in terms of this, Tata, JLR, clearly they are a huge winner. The Range Rover Evoque has done really well in China, and there are reasons why that has occurred, because they produce a great product, high income, elasticity of demand, etc. So a definite winner there. Glencore, have a look at Glencore on YouTube. It owns a lot of resources. Resources are in short supply, therefore their price has gone up, therefore Glencore's made a lot of money. Virgin, partially due to its branded venture capital house, has been very successful in terms of moving to new market. Any new business can come along to Virgin and say, right, can we work under your name please? We've got this certain product, we think it's going to work well. So we've got Virgin, a branded venture capital house. We've got Volkswagen, Skoda, and they've been incredibly successful. Volkswagen is a highly engineered car, lots of quality, excellent motor, but they went out and they brought Skoda, which at the time had a very bad reputation, but it's sort of got a little niche market for itself now. The rugged Skoda, cheaper than the Volkswagen, but does particularly well in Asia. And Nissan has also gained through globalization by spending lots of money on research and development, bringing out new cars like the Nissan Leaf, using a cost optimization strategy, so it's done very well in the global market. Now you need to analyze why those companies have done well. So let's take this one. Cost optimization, right? Spending lots of money on research and development. They bring out the Nissan Leaf, first mover advantage, high prices, building a brand. However, there's a risk involved because they've got to spend lots of money on research and development. Okay. Globalization losers, well, General Motors and Chrysler were the big losers simply because they didn't innovate. The price of oil shot up, which is an external factor. By 2011, I think they'd lost $8 billion in one quarter, one of the biggest ever corporate losses of all time, until RBS came along. So they didn't innovate. Their cars are doing 24 miles to the gallon. The cars in Japan were doing 50 miles to the gallon. The price of oil went up, therefore people stopped driving Chrysler and General Motors. Okay, so just showing that a lot of firms have gained through globalization. Lesson 67 part B, and we have emerging markets on here. Now emerging markets is the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India and China. Or the MINT countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, Nigeria and Turkey. These are huge markets that are growing really rapidly. And these are markets that we can go into. But even other countries like South Vietnam, like Ethiopia, which grew at 13% last year. Africa, the next 25 years, is meant to be an economy that's going to grow from $2 trillion to $20 trillion. Okay? It's going to increase tenfold in size. All right, to give you an example here of Coca-Cola, they moved into Pakistan in 1953. They will now want to spend £300 million on building factories over there. They spent a lot of money on YouTube and creating YouTube and Pakistan music, which is a sort of like a nice link there between Coca-Cola and music. They say they want to add value to the community. They're going to spend $6 million on promoting the community. Now the reason why they do that is obviously because they see that as being a good growth market. So Coca-Cola is very much has a global strategy, and in each country they go for a slightly different stance with it. Okay, in the year 2000, the emerging markets made up 37% of GDP. By the year 2013, we think it's now about 50% of GDP. There's a massive rise in the global markets. Now, I think the emerging market definition is really useful because it's an economy which hasn't yet reached a mature stage of development, which has very high growth rates. However, there's a large potential for economic or political instability, e.g. there's a lot of risk. Now, if we look at Brazil, there's a lot of social unrest. If we look at Russia, the oil price has collapsed to $58 a barrel as I speak. Therefore, their economy's gone downhill. There's also a lot of corruption, so they're having really big problems. India may well be the country that's really take off because at least they have a democracy. But there's a lot of bureaucracy in that country that stops development, and China is doing obviously going pretty well, but they want to start to create a more consumer-led economy, which is going to be very difficult. So even the BRIC countries have problems, even they're a risk to enter. But they will have, the emerging markets will have 85% of the world's population, and their growth is 3 times quicker than those of developed countries. So this is a huge market which we can get into. And in fact, the report that I just read is saying that education is just going to go big time in the emerging market economies. So clearly, in terms of the emerging markets, if you can remember this definition here, right, those are markets that you want to get into. Even though right now their incomes are very, very low. And I'll just give an example there. In Africa, they think that 100 million people by the year 2020 will have incomes of $5,000 a year. So they spend $2,500 a year on subsistence living, and they've got an extra $2,500 to spend. What will they spend that money on? So there's some huge markets out there, and perhaps we should be taking advantage of those.